Hello, this is Alex with Grow How. Today we're pruning this peach. It's been in just about 3 seasons. This will be its second pruning. I'm going to do this to an open center. I'm going to use a standard pair of loppers and a standard pair of hand shears. That's going to be my only tools, except maybe my thumb. We'll see. And keep in mind, when you're pruning, the first things you do is remove the dead and diseased. Then you remove crossing limbs, and then you're trying to shape a fruit tree in particular so the fruit is available, easy to get to, and so that sunlight gets to all parts of the tree, because that sunlight is what builds the fruit and builds the sugar in the fruit. Let's get started. First of all, I've got this limb right here, and it's a thick, heavy limb. I don't know if I necessarily want to keep it, but this year I'm going to keep it. And I'm going to shape those limbs so that things aren't growing inward. I want them growing outward. Now I'm just going to keep on working here, and I'm going to be trying to eliminate a lot of the stuff that's growing straight up. And I'm going to try and give some openness to this tree. Now some of these branches I'm pulling out, I kind of liked where they were, but they weren't doing well. Now, last time I pruned this, we had some dieback here. That concerns me. I don't feel like it's something that has to be removed, but I'm going to keep an eye on this, and I may have to cut it down to here later on, either later on this year or in another year. I also need to make sure that I don't cut off all my new buds. Some of these branches, like I don't want this one, but I do want some potential fruiting on this. This has been in the ground. It was pot grown, and it wasn't bare root when I planted it. So I'm getting the amount of roots I need now to accomplish what I want to. Right down here, those are crossings, so I want to remove something there. And a lot of these little dead twigs, you'll find a lot of those on peaches. And no, I don't do a great job weeding. So everyone that thinks I'm a fantastic gardener, I'm a lazy gardener. Downward growing branches are iffy. Sometimes I'll keep them if I don't have anything else, but I got a lot of stuff to work with on this tree. You'll notice I take time, I look at stuff, I think about it, and quite often I'll leave it and then come back to it so that I'm not allowing myself to get too focused on one area. I'm looking to develop the whole tree, not just one part of it. Now for structure, what I really want is I want 4 limbs going in 4 separate directions. This tree is not giving that to me. I've got these 2 that are trying to occupy the same spot. I've got these 3 that are taking up less than a quarter of the area around here. So ultimately, I'm going to have to remove some of these. This is early enough. I don't necessarily want to commit to everything, but I definitely want some more stuff going this way, and I definitely want some more stuff coming towards me. These smaller things that aren't necessarily going where I want them, I can just take those out and we'll see what happens. This one may come out next year. It doesn't meet my aesthetic look of it, but it's a strong limb and it may end up being productive. On my fruit tree pruning, I worry more about aesthetics when I go to a client's place than I do at my own place. Okay. I'm really kind of concerned about everything above here. I'm going to leave it and see what it gives me this year. And then I'm going to do a final check around for sick limbs, dead limbs. In a peach tree, you're almost always going to find more sick and dead limbs, or little tiny branches, I should say. And every time you look at it, you're going to see one you missed. And so at some point, you have to say, enough is enough. I've got a lot of these dead out. Now it's time for me to do what I need to do and just walk away. The buds on this are looking mighty dead right there, so I'm just going to cut that out. Buds that look dead tend to look kind of crispy, brown. You poke on them and they don't have any flecks. You get buds like that through most of the limb, it's usually a goner. Okay, so I've reduced this a lot. Now classically, a lot of the old timers will say you've got to make it wide enough that you can throw a cat through the limbs, or that you can have a bird fly through the limbs. On a tree this small, you're not going to accomplish that right up front. You're going to have to wait a couple years. Once these branches that I'm building, the scaffold limbs, come out a little further, then that becomes more pertinent. But right now, not so much. And again, right here, these three, I've just got too many going basically the same direction. And I'm trying to thin things out to figure out what it's going to give me. I've still got time for that because this is not even technically fruiting yet. Okay, I think that's it for the day. If you'll go up here and hit the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. It'll help YouTube know I exist. And if you go over here, there's another great video for you to watch. Catch you later. Banana.